And welcome to episode 2, season 2 of Thoughts of the Roundtable with Paul Lux and Matt Rebar.
I don't even get to say my name anymore.
I'm trying to be professional.
You didn't even say my last name right.
What did I say?
Say, how do you think my last name is?
Lux?
It's Laux. You only know me for how long?
Really?
Yes.
Wow. You know what? I'm hungry. I'm thinking
Well,
of bagels and lox, clearly.
Bagels and lox? What
Yeah,
is that?
salmon.
Salmon?
Lox.
Lox is salmon?
Yeah.
Since when? I've never heard that. What are you, Gordon Ramsay?
Wait. Have I always said your name like that?
I don't know. I've never heard you say my last name now that I think of it.
Yeah, well, you know what? My last name's so freaking weird.
I'm just going to call you Matt Rebar.
Oh my god, if you do that, I'm going to scream. Wait, so just for the record, Paul Laux.
Correct.
Laux.
Right.
Like I'm Lauxing at you across
Correct.
the room. Okay. Well, you know what?
It is only the most common last name and surname in Germany.
Oh.
And so is Paul.
Hashtag fun
So literally in
facts.
Germany, I'm basically John Smith.
You're like the Panera Bread of German names right now.
Also, you know how Googling, you like to Google your name to see like what employers, whatever. Unfortunately for me, if you Google Paul Laux was a high-ranking Nazi general.
Oh.
So I've had employers actually Google my name and just have nothing but Nazis.
And they were like, I found this old
up.
black and white photo from 1944.
Yeah.
Care to explain? And you're like,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, not me. Well, sucks to be German sometimes, I guess, Paul.
I'm part Polish too.
Oh, that's a conflict. Some binaries. Paul, what's up? How are you? Today's Holy Grail. What's your Holy Grail?
Oh my goodness. It has been one of the craziest weeks of my life.
And I heard you have a really
days.
fun story that's going to close us out later.
Oh man, this is.
And I almost want you to
I've
share it
been through
now.
some doozies in my life, but no, I'll save it. I'll just phrase it like this. I ended up over the weekend quasi going to a police station to turn myself in for something I don't think I did.
I like how the key word there was, I don't think I did, because you're like, this is going to be on the record, so I just want to make it clear. Okay, so Paul is involved in some criminal activity, questionable, but we'll hear about that later. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm a little off right now because I like when my schedule is scheduled.
Yeah, you're disheveled right now.
And I'm disheveled because when something goes later, it's out of my control. And like I promise people, hey, I'm going to be here and doing this and this and this. And one of those dominoes topples, it all topples.
Mm-hmm.
And I topple because I'm very fragile, Paul.
You're a strong man, but you're also weak up top. So if you're like a Weeble person. If you get pushed, you kind of fall, like roll over. But then you come right back up.
Well, and I think people think that I'm all fun and games, which I am. I mean, I really am. But like I get really just particular about my schedule, dude.
When you have a schedule, you have a schedule. I don't like anything to be bothered either. Like today, I was at the doctor just for a simple checkup. It wasn't like 5 minutes.
Some Novocaine, whatever.
And so my appointment was at 9. What time do you think I finally saw the doctor?
Oh, 9:45.
Mind you, the place opened at 9.
Oh, wow.
So I was like number 1 or number 2 appointment.
There's no excuses.
I saw the doctor at like 10:10.
What? What were they doing?
Literally just a checkup on follow up on a medication.
No, but why did it need?
Who knows? I don't know. It's medical stuff.
They were like, you know what? It was the Indians' home opener last night, and I had to go get a couple drinks with the boys. You see, I am very patient, and if they had opened at 7 or something, that would have made sense. Like, okay, things run late, but like. Your first patient? You're an hour late? Like
this kind of reminds me of something that annoyed me when I was in San Francisco last week. Can I go off on this for 1 second?
Please. The photos look great.
All right. So I forgot what the bridge is called. It's not the Golden Gate Bridge, but there's a bridge out to the east. And it's a large one. I can't.
I was like the geography student in 6th
on.
grade too. This is embarrassing.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. So
there's a bridge.
It's not the Golden Gate Bridge. There's another bridge that gets you to
bridge.
the peninsula at San Francisco.
On it, I can visualize.
So I have never been to San Francisco, and me and the wife went on this trip where we flew to Salt Lake City and drove all the way to San Francisco.
I love it.
Stopped a couple places on the way. It was awesome. But by the time we were getting into San Francisco, we were pretty much done with the driving part. Mind you, I'd never driven in, in San Francisco before.
He's like, just to clarify, I've never been to San Francisco and I've never driven in San Francisco.
So I go over this bridge and it says toll bridge ahead.
Okay.
Didn't really think too much of it. I didn't have any cash on me. It was like, I got cards, whatever. No big deal. What toll bridge doesn't take cards? I've been on a million toll bridges. And so we go on this toll and there's one that says Easy Pass, which I didn't have. And another one said cash. I'm like, cool. Go over there.
Yeah.
Go up there to the cash thing, and they're like, it's $6. I'm like, and I hand them a credit card.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we don't take credit card.
What?
I'm like, this is 2019, bitch. Since when?
And you're in San Francisco, a very technical...
It's like Silicon Valley.
I was gonna say this is California.
And so
coastal.
this lady just like on cue had this ticket just handed to me. So this must happen a lot. Like it was a toll violation, and it said like it's unlawful to enter this bridge without sufficient funds. It's like, bitch, I got plenty of money.
So
like,
is it like a $25 ticket or something?
it's like $25, but it's so annoying.
Wow.
But here comes the kid. Well, she would like had this like next or like here.
Yeah,
you
she
go.
was ready. She knew. She knew you were a violator.
Yeah, so we just, I mean, it must happen all the time. So we went through it. But
is there a specific employee who just is in charge of the violations?
The funny thing is I was in a rental car, and so they take a picture of your plates and send it to the whoever owns the car.
Oh,
so
yikers.
Apparently now it's budget's problem.
Wow,
That's how I got into this.
that is a sketchy move.
Yeah, that was my first Airbnb experience too.
Do you think they do that on purpose though?
Oh,
they know that
100%.
People think because we're a cashless society.
I was mad about this, and so I went online and looked up, just how to pay this or whatever.
Yeah.
And before even the page on how to pay, their tolls or whatever, it was articles from like local newspapers in San Francisco about the scams of this bridge where they do that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
And not to like in-towners because they all know, but to like San Francisco's obviously a huge tourist place.
Yeah.
So they'll do that to all the people. They're like, oh, we don't take cash. Here's a fine.
Oh, whoopsie.
Yeah, they do.
Our credit card machine's been broken since 2006.
Apparently they do that like all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently there's also the thing they do where they have a cash, cash toll.
Yeah.
And people legitimately have cash. They have bills or whatever, and go into that lane and nobody is there. So they have to drive through, and that's an illegal, Wow. Oh yeah. And there was another case of someone who drove 5 feet past the toll booth because they didn't know where to stop, and they're like, "Oh, you've gone too far. You have to pay the toll."
Jeez. This toll. We need to start an expose podcast. Our new podcast
seriously.
called San Fran Exposed comes out.
Really, that was the only bad thing. San Francisco is pretty cool.
Dude, the weather is amazing though.
Well,
it's like Mediterranean out there. That's like the style of weather.
The first 2 days I was there was beautiful. It was like I went in March. It was like 60, so it wasn't considering what it was in Ohio. It wasn't too
March,
bad. And it was beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky, but the last day I left, it was more miserable than I've been in Ohio.
Really? Negative or something?
No, it was like 30 degrees and just drizzly gray rain.
Oh,
it was so bad. And then I got sick.
Oh,
so there's that. But I was worried because when I was researching going to San Francisco, apparently there's a lot of people just crap on the sidewalk. I'm not making that up. That's a thing.
Really?
There's like Twitter pages dedicated to poop of San Francisco.
Oh,
people
God.
just poop all over, like the homeless people.
I don't know what's worse, that or the fact that people are actually doing research on that.
But I did not see any poop.
Okay. Well,
did not see any poop.
Well, you kind of are a piece of poop, so you saw yourself in a mirror.
Zion National Park was better.
Oh, gosh. I want to go to more national parks. I need to...
Utah's weird, though. I got in trouble for making fun of Mormons when I was in Salt Lake City.
So what? Okay, we need... This is going to be like the Paul vacation podcast.
I don't mean it to be like this, but there's so much weird stuff that happened. This is the last one. Then we'll move on to you, I promise. But it was we were at that big Mormon temple over in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And it was on a Saturday, and there was a church wedding going on at this church.
Aww.
And I was like, I wonder what number wife it is. And I was like 20 yards from them.
And they yelled at you.
Oh, they did. No one yelled, but they weren't happy.
What did they say? We
didn't say anything, but like I was not invited. Like I could tell I was not welcome there. Oops.
They were like...
In my defense, that's a legitimate question with Mormons. Come on.
I think
it's
no,
Utah.
it's now... I think it's outlawed in the Mormon church. I think it's just there's some subcultures of Mormonism. I don't even want to give names right now because
Mormonism is
this podcast will blow up for the wrong reasons. No, there's just like certain subcultures of Mormonism that still practice that. Yeah. But anyway, that's a different podcast because that's educational, and we're not educational.
No,
Do not come
I don't
here.
know what the hell I'm talking about.
Don't come here for education. Well, Paul, let's kick it off with not the news.
Okay.
Because that is your jam.
Well, I'm going to let you actually start this one in a way because I know this is a podcast and we can listen to whatever, but the biggest thing lately is that Florida man.
Yeah,
that's kind of what my not the news has been. Just all the weird stuff happening in Florida.
I mean, Florida is whatever. Dude.
I want you to do the challenge. So all you have to do is Google Florida man or Bing it. I don't care. Florida man and then your birthday. So like mine would be November 19th. Yours is
October 7th. Okay.
What is yours?
Weird. Oh, here we go. Well, the first ones are like 16 fun facts about October 7th, 1948. Weird.
That's the first one that came up?
Yeah, it's weird. But here we go. My first one is, this one really isn't that exciting. Man struck and then killed by vehicle in Milton, Florida.
Oh, that's it? It's kind of a lame one, actually.
Wait, should I try Cleveland Man, October 7th?
Try Cleveland.
In case people are unaware, we are from Cleveland. 216. Oh, God. Man dead after crash in construction zone in Stowe.
That's not even Cleveland. It's Stowe's like 45 minutes away.
Stowe's like between Cleveland and Akron. It kind of counts. So both of mine are just kind of like unfortunate events, to be honest.
Yeah, yours are just... I have two that came up.
Yeah, tell you...
Neither of them I really want to say out loud.
Oh.
So the first one is... Mine's Florida Man, November 19th. I Googled this, and... The first one is Florida Man punched, squeezed life out of baby. That's awful.
Punch and squeeze?
Yes.
I have never heard someone say punched and then squeezed the life.
The other one... Mine doesn't get any better.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Florida Man put semen in coworker's water and 11 others.
Oh my God. Sociopath. I want to know why, though. Does it say why? What was the point? Was it revenge?
The next link is 16 fun birthday facts.
I don't know about you, Paul, but 10 your birthday facts. Did you know that your birthday is the day of the pear pie recipe getting invented in 1816?
Florida woman mistakes 37-week pregnancy for bad Chinese food.
Okay, at some point, let's be real. I love Chinese, but we've all had bad Chinese food.
Chinese food doesn't kick.
But 37 weeks? You're just sitting there for 37 weeks like, oh.
You're past it. I mean, the baby's fully done at that point.
That crab rangoon 17 weeks ago.
Apparently that is more common than you think of people who don't realize they're pregnant. Like, that is actually... not an uncommon thing.
I guess if you don't get your periods, it makes sense. Like, you're not really if you're periodless.
Like sipping by the goalie.
I feel like if you do get your periods and then you stop, I don't know. I'm very aware of my body, but then again,
we're both dudes.
I was gonna say, you know what?
We have no idea what periods feel like or act like.
What is blood?
It just amazes me that it's actually a common thing. Well, some people don't show pregnancy that much.
That's true.
Some people look like they're
I feel like I would be that woman though who would be very obvious, and I would do the sexy photo shoot, and I'd wear
because you'd want the sympathy, be like, look at me, I'm pregnant.
What do you call those? The muumuus? What do you call those long drapesy floral dresses?
The muumuus. It's like what my grandma used to.
Yeah, I would wear a muumuu if pregnant. I think that'd be awesome.
For 9 months.
I'm pregnant. Here's my muumuu. Okay, this is getting off topic. Any more not the news, Paul?
Yeah, there is plenty. I'm gonna keep rolling with this.
Yeah, roll.
This is for my birthday. Florida woman regrets killing thousands of swarming honeybees. You should, honestly.
Wait, what did she do to get swarmed? Because you have to do something.
They were just on her barn, and so she sprayed them and killed them. But I mean, honeybees are the ones that people you cannot...
Wait a minute. So she got killed by a swarm of honeybees.
No, she regrets killing them.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was confused because honeybees killing someone that...
No.
But why would she do that? The honeybees are endangered.
Well, that's why I think it was last year at a spring training game out in Arizona, and there was a massive honeybee swarm that got onto the field.
Oh, wow.
And they literally stopped the game and got a bee expert, and I'm no joke, and he came onto the field and he had a little vacuum, and he went whoop, 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 and sucked them all up, because then they just go into this tank.
There's a game like that at Chuck E. Cheese, I think, right? Isn't it with the bees?
I got kicked out of a Chuck E. Cheese and banned from one of those.
Oh, tell us this. This is newsworthy.
Oh, it was no big deal. It was just in high school. A couple of my friends went to Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, see, that's probably
we got $38,000 tickets, and then asked to buy the animatronic Chucky in the front, and they told us to leave.
They were like, sir, please leave. Except you were a teen, so they were like, whippersnapper, please leave.
But no,
did you hear the theory? Okay, I want to know because this is right up your alley. Mm-hmm. Did you hear the theory that Chuck E. Cheese's, they take leftover pizza and put them together to make new pizzas?
Yeah.
Because I literally saw that, and the first thought I had was, this is a Paul conspiracy.
It's not true though.
You don't think so?
No. No, I mean I think they fast cut those things and bring them out.
Okay.
Because trust me, I've worked in I've worked in the fast food industry, and
I thought you were gonna say yeah, I love when people are like, yeah, I worked at McDonald's for 2 days, so I know how it goes.
No, you can get in a lot of trouble for that kind of stuff.
Oh no, I agree.
So I think what happened is that they just, I don't know. I think they just sloppy cut it and it kind of looked weird. I don't really believe that.
No, I agree. They look weird.
It looks really bad. Yeah. I'll give them that, but it could also be weird people staging pictures too. You never know.
There's a lot of weird people.
I highly doubt Chuck E. Cheese would do that. They wouldn't be around for this long if they were messing with their food like that.
When I saw that, I was like, wow, this is a Paul.
Why does that come to me?
Laux. experience. Wow. You know what? You know what? Time out. I'm a crappy friend. I think I've always considered your last name to just be Locks.
It's all right. I don't correct people usually.
Because I just think of salmon. Locks.
No.
Like, it's just
all salmon.
Laux. Laux. Sorry,
speaking
anyway,
of conspiracy theories, I want to hear did you watch the Beyond the Curve, that Flat Earth documentary on Netflix?
Okay, I didn't because I feel like I would be angry the whole time.
I
just feel like I'd watch that and be angry, and I'm like, I don't want to be angry.
Well, the thing that got to me is, like, when they're talking about Flat Earth, it's like, okay, you're just dumb and all this stuff.
I feel like they don't have anything better to do than to think about
what bothered me is when they'd all of a sudden go off tangents and be like, oh yeah, 9/11 and Sandy Hook, those didn't happen either. I'm like,
my gosh.
Like, you know what?
You can talk about a flat Earth, but the second you say that...
Can you believe the Earth is flat? Sure, that's pretty much harmless. You just believe we're sitting on a piece of paper. But like, come on now.
I guess my biggest thing is they genuinely believe that you could fall off the flat surface of the Earth.
Well, there's actually a...
But why is there no stories, there's no photos, there's no video of that?
Well, they explain that.
Oh, gosh.
There is some people believe a dome that is over, which is a flat Earth, but yet there's a dome on top.
Okay, that makes
Some people believe there's an ice wall.
An ice wall?
An ice wall.
And there's no photos, there's no video?
Well, there's actually a flat Earth cruise heading out in 2020. No joke.
Jesus.
But in the way this documentary filmed was great, and I'm gonna spoil it. But if you haven't seen it,
you know what? Spoil it. You know what? It deserves to be spoiled.
So there's this
spoiler alert.
There's this one flat earther on the documentary who seems like a legitimately pretty smart guy who has some money. And he comes up. He comes up with this actually pretty ingenious experiment to prove if the Earth is flat around, and it's actually really, really intelligent. Okay. What he does is he takes 2 posts, I think they're about maybe 50 feet high, and puts them a mile apart from each other, okay?
Okay.
Then he puts another post in the middle, with a hole in the middle, okay? And so, from one of the posts on the end, he's going to shine a laser through the hole in the middle post to the other one. Okay. So, that means, with a mile apart, if the laser goes all the way through, then that means that's perfectly level and the Earth has no curve. So, and really, it's a genius experiment. But what happens is when he tries this, is the laser is, surprisingly, off by a few feet because the Earth is curved. So in the experiment, he actually proves that the Earth is round, and the documentary ends with him going, oh.
Really? That's hilarious.
His experiment proved the Earth has curved.
I was going to say, I actually thought his experiment might work because it's only a mile, right? Like, if it was like 100 miles and there was like a laser, okay, that's more legit. But the fact that even by a mile, it shows that we're
it was just a couple feet, but it proved that the laser is off, so therefore there's a natural curve to the Earth.
They have the diagrams too of like, okay, you're standing here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is such a poor audio presentation right now because you can hear me describe this, but you can't see me. So, like where you're standing, let's say you're at post 1, right?
Yeah.
Because of the way it's shaped, like you can only see, like you see in a line, right?
Yeah.
Like you stand still, you stare straight ahead, but because it's curved, like your line of vision ends like...
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a terrible explanation. I apologize to all our listeners.
But I just love how he ended up proving, and it's a pretty simple experiment.
Yeah.
But he ended up proving the Earth, in fact, is round.
Well, that is the epitome of Not the News, is flat Earth theory. So, well, Paul, it's time for dad advice. Picked up 2 advice columns, and let's talk about it. This one, Dear Abby. This is Dear Abby. She says, I've been with my husband for 20 years. I'm 43 and he's 63. They no longer have a physical relationship.
I know that, but what kind of... Oh, whatever. Just go.
Funky jams. He says that he's no longer attracted to her. Now, apparently, when they met, she was a size 4. Now she's a size 8. God forbid, because...
Size 8? That's still skinny
That's still so skinny. I'm like a size 80, so I don't get it. And apparently, he says that he's not attracted to her. I don't know. It's a whole thing about, the chemistry is good, but, I have to be this certain
There's
look.
a real short answer to this one.
And Abby goes, well... what's the deal? Has his body changed? And, frankly, do you want a man who will love you for yourself? And she says, you know what? Time is on your side. In another 20 years, your husband will be in his 80s and still trying to find a size 4 who thinks he's sexually attractive. Well, you'll be in your prime. And you know what? I agree. But here's one thing that I have difficulty with.
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, absolutely.
You want to hear my 1 second advice of this? He's bored with her. He wants to find somebody else. It's literally it.
They've been married for 20 years.
Doesn't matter.
And to me, here's my crux. Don't be with someone who is going to say, if they say, I'm not attracted to you anymore, that's a divorce. Right? Like, that's, to me, that's a
Well,
that's
I wouldn't say it's immediate divorce, but it's at least counseling or something.
I don't know. I mean, like...
Oh, come on. You
that's
couldn't
like
work
me
through
saying,
that.
okay, here's the equivalent I'm going to use. That's like, we go out for a drink. And you go, I got you a gin and tonic. And I'm like, I'm not attracted to gin and tonic. Why would I have that? Like, I'm disgusted
But you
by
were. This doesn't make... This is a totally...
No,
inaccurate.
it totally works.
How is... No, it doesn't. How is being married for 20 years and just falling out of attractiveness, which... You can counsel through that. Related to, like, hey, I've never liked this drink before.
See, it'd be different.
This doesn't make any
sense.
sense.
It does. It'd be different if he was like, I'm not as attracted to you. But if he says, I have zero attraction to you, you can't just build attraction back.
Sure, you can.
You think? I don't know.
100%.
I really...
100% you can.
I think you can re-fall in love. I think you
That's
can...
the same thing. Then you disagreed with me.
Well, no, love and attraction is totally different.
I disagree.
No, it's totally different.
No.
Yeah, I can love you.
They're synonymous.
Listen, I can love you as a friend.
Yes.
Love you as a podcast partner.
But yes.
Love you as
But attraction is part of
Laux.
love.
But attraction means like physical, like...
Not necessarily.
I
you
think
can be
so.
attracted to someone's personality. Sure, it does mean that, but that's not all it means.
I think, well, in the case of this story, let's go by this story.
All right.
It's definitely physical attraction, okay? And I think, okay, if you said, yeah, I am not as attracted to, let's just say the gin and tonic. You're like, I'm not like that attracted to it anymore. You might be able to build that up. But if you're like at zero, dude, like, it's kind of game over. Don't you think?
No, I don't. I really don't.
I feel like it's like a video game. And
No,
you die.
See, the problem is the dynamic of this relationship. Cause
Yeah.
I mean, the age, let's be honest, that's kind of a big gap. What was the age gap again?
She said I'm 43 and he's 63.
It's pretty big.
So they've been married since she was 23 and he was 43. Wow.
Let's be honest. I mean,
so he married her because of her looks, and now that
he's bored with her. But I'm not saying that can't be built back.
I'm just reading her article. If I was her, I'd be leaving.
Well, it's on him, not her.
She is
She didn't do
43.
anything wrong.
She's in the prime of her life. If she's a size 4, size 8, even size 12, 16, 20, I bet she is gorgeous and ready.
The ball's in her court because there's nothing she did. And it's all on him. And if she wants to work through that, that's something you can do. If not, then screw it.
I say just get a divorce. I don't know. I'm not the first person to be like, get a divorce. But if it's 20 years, he's not attracted to you.
I feel like you kind of are.
What?
Your first one, get a divorce.
Well, I would always say it's easier, get the divorce over, like, I don't know, like cheating viciously or like killing your family. You know, like...
Okay.
Well, you hear those stories. You know, there's people who like will annihilate their family because of some 20-year-old chick who's a size 4. And it's like, to me, it's like, just get a divorce. Like, we'll rather take the divorce over...
You're thinking too level-headed is the problem.
I don't know, but like, okay, question. I like how like my whole thing is question. You know, let's say it's your alter ego. So, because I know Paul and his wife are very happy and adorable and Peter Laux. Okay, let's say Peter Laux. You're married 20 years and your wife, Marcy Laux, just is like,
who the hell would marry a Marcy?
I'm just saying. That was just the first thing to come to mind. Is like, I'm not attracted to you anymore.
Yeah.
At all. Zero attraction. You are ugly. Just leave me alone. Don't touch me. And you're like, we can work through that? Like, to me, that's like, well...
Yeah, you can work through that. You can.
I feel
because
like, you know what? You and me, we might be able to. I think most people, though...
Because when you say something like that, it's seeded from something else. It's not just...
I don't know. 20 years, though.
Like, a long time,
That's a long time. I've only known you for, like, one day. Because I didn't know your last name, so...
That's true, so we're starting over.
Redo. I'm scratch. Okay, next advice. This is askamanager.org. I love this website because it's like Dear Abby, but for like young professionals. So this lady wrote in, she says, my boss asked coworkers if my husband has violent tendencies. So she says she took a new job. I guess basically, long story problem, the director was asking around the department if anyone knew if her husband had a tendency towards violence, and should she alert security? There's nothing in my history or my husband's history that indicates potential for violence. The only thing I can think of is that my husband is a blue-collar worker, and that maybe he's being ignorant and thinking that that has potential for violence. So she says that I was shocked and humiliated, that he would ask the department this. So this is just gossipy, really.
Damn.
And so she's kind of like, you need to ask her boss, like, did you say this? Did you do this?
Yeah. And
then, based on that response, what to do. She says, if you're not happy talking to your boss, I would go to HR. But, like, here's the thing. I think it's very valiant for people to be aware. Like, if you have a coworker who you do think is going through something, going up to them and asking, hey, like, are you okay? Like, I noticed that, you have this big bruise that looks kind of suspicious. I noticed that, something's off. I think that's fine. If you're in public and you see kids that there's something weird, like, you don't know what it is. Something's weird. There's like an adult with a kid and you're like, what? Call the police. It's better to have a misunderstanding than like for you to be a bystander and being unaware, or worse yet, I think, is being aware in a way, but not doing something. The problem here... Oh, sorry.
You got to use your judgment. I agree with you, too. I really do. I mean, if you saw something like that, obviously you should...
Yeah. Obviously, it's not going to happen every day. It's not like,
that
child!
You don't turn it into gossip either.
No, and that's where he went wrong.
Yeah.
I think it would have been different if he had maybe asked one or two colleagues, but from the article, it seems like he went around the whole department.
Go to the source.
No, and I agree. I think... Or, to be fair, maybe you go to your spouse or to your best friend outside of work. Maybe you're like, here's what I'm seeing, what do you think? For him to go to the entire department and, like, go from person to person...
That's bad.
Like, are you conducting a survey? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's where he made a mistake.
So, I think that's my biggest issue with that. But, it's tough. I think people don't want to... They want to sometimes think that when someone says it's okay, that it is okay.
Yeah.
And, your answers aren't going to be that easy. Mm-hmm. And the people aren't going to answer that easily either. But... And she answers too. She says, that doesn't mean what he did was really crappy, even though it was. But, the idea is, well, he maybe had a good intention that totally went off the... But could you imagine you're at work and, like, your boss is like, do you think he's getting beaten up at home? And you're like, and all the coworkers are like, You know what? She has good coworkers, though, for them to tell her.
Right, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, no. So. But that's... You got the biggest problem is getting out of the whole office politics. You don't want to do that.
Right. Okay, Paul, I need to hear... Oh, my gosh, I just broke my hair tie. How am I going to tie my hair back today?
Well, you're not anymore.
That is canceled. So, Paul, tell us.
Craziest weekend I've ever had in my past life. So I'm gonna not use any names of any companies or anything.
Yeah, let's just kind of... You know what? Why don't you just rename them?
Before I do that.
Just give us...
rename them.
Just give us a rename.
I'll figure it out along the way.
Okay, yeah. I'm just going to vibe.
So over the weekend, I had to go get flooring. I'm redoing the floors in my house. Pick up some flooring. So I was going to go to this store, a department store for tools and stuff.
The tool store.
Tool store. I was going to go to the tool store, pick up a bunch of flooring, and take it home.
Which I see, it's right here. It looks nice.
And so I go up there, and I was going to rent one of their trucks. I don't have a truck. It's got a little tiny car. And they're like, hey, we don't have an available truck right now. I'm like, so I had one of my friends with me. So I was like, hey, there's a place that rents. It's a car rental place down the street.
Car store.
Why don't we go to the car store and pick up a truck there, rent it, come back, pick up the flooring with that.
Yeah.
I said, hell yeah, works, no problem. Yeah. It's actually pretty cheap. It's like $30. I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, shout out to the car store. Who's not paying for this podcast, so we're not going to name you. I'm kidding. We're not that legit.
So anyways, we... pick up the truck, simple. Pick up the flooring, drive it back to my house, drop it off. Actually, really easy. Take it back to the car store. Car's now back. I get home, and I get a call from car store. It says, hey, were you just at tool store? I said, yes, I was at tool store. And they said, well, oh, here we go.
She was so good, too.
She was so good. So anyways, I go to, I get a call and said, were you just at tool store? I said, yes. I'm like, well, we're getting reports. Really? Go.
You were being good, baby. Come on now.
Go. So anyways.
We are very pro-dog in this podcast.
We are.
Don't get us wrong. Paul has a dog. Just once in a while, though, she gets in the way a little bit. In a loving way. She gets in a lovable way.
So anyways. Oh my God. Taking you upstairs. So, all right. Rolling?
Yeah.
All right. So I get a call and said, were you just at Tool Store? I said, yeah. And they're like, well, we're getting a report from the police. I can't believe this. That you hit 2 people. I'm like, well, that didn't happen. So I called my friend. I was like, hey, did we hit anything? And she's like, no, I can't think of anything. It's like, didn't think so. So I let it go. And they're like, well, we'll call you back if there's any other information.
Yeah.
No, they don't care. So nothing. 30 minutes later, I was like, you know what? Something's not right. Call a car store back and said, hey, is there any more information? They're like, well, they said that you hit 2 pedestrians. I'm like, well, that's a big change.
Like a hit and run. Like full blown.
Yeah, they said I ran away then. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, this is obviously way more serious than I thought. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm going to call the police department in the city that Tool Store is in because that's where they claimed it happened.
Makes sense. Being responsible.
I'm like, all right, I got it figured. So I call police department A. I don't know why I said A. They're only police department to deal with. So I called them and I was like, hey, I'm getting a call from a car store that, I hit 2 pedestrians and ran off. I'm like, this did not happen. I don't know what you've heard. So like, well, let us look or new. Because mind you, I haven't got a call from the police at all.
Yeah.
Police comes back on the phone and says, well, we have no records of any incidents happening. I'm like, no one's reported anything? They're like, no. Like, okay. So I call straight up Tool Store. I'm like, hey, do you have any incidents reported of this happening? They're like, no, nothing. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I call the security in the mall that store was in. Have any incidents reported of this? No, nothing. Nobody knows of this happening.
And at that point, you have to be like, what's going on?
Yeah,
because you think
I'm
if
totally
2
lost.
people are, I almost said gunned down. I'm sorry, are ran down.
Like, mind you, this is a Saturday in the 11 a.m. There's tons of people.
And knowing this Tool Store, I can attest to, it's probably like minimum, 200, 300 cars in the parking lot? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
At least
2
to 5 people.
One of the busiest malls in this part of the state.
Yeah.
And so, mind you, no police has called me. So no one's called the police.
Yeah.
Somehow, they called the traffic center of car store. Not the police.
Traffic center.
So anyways,
That's so legit. The traffic center.
I decide to, I was like, I'm going to go up to car store and figure this out.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, we got to call. By the way, it wasn't the police. It was a bystander that called the police.
Oh, so there's a third person involved.
So it's not the police. And they're like, well, I was like, do you have any information? No. Mind you, when I first asked them, like, what police called? What police department? They're like, we don't know. Like, what officer name? We don't know. They didn't know anything.
Wow.
And so I'm like, well, this is
Well,
weird.
shout out to the traffic center for knowing nothing.
Nothing. So someone calls the traffic department. So like, hey, you guys, one of your trucks hit somebody, and they're like, yeah, whatever. See,
Can you just imagine, you're like, listen, I heard you hit 2 people, and you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, did you do that? And then you're like, no. And then they're like, well, we don't know what police station's involved. We don't know who the pedestrians are.
I'm like panicking at this point.
Yeah, I'd be panicking
And so
too.
I go up to the police department. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, and I talked to the police officer, like, should I file something? And again, they're like, look, there's nothing been reported.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then the officer was like, trust me, if you hit a pedestrian, she goes, you bet your ass we'd be at your house by now.
She's like,
and
listen.
she goes, listen, we'd be there. I'm like,
sweetie, honey, listen.
That's basically how it went. I was like, yeah, I thought so. And then she's like, yeah, there's definitely some nonsense going on.
She's like, listen,
So,
sweet cheeks.
He's like, you know what, I'm going to...
She's like, listen, you hick.
I'm going to go full-on detective. So I was like, I'm going to go to Tool Store and ask to see their security footage. Mm-hmm. Didn't think I'd do anything.
And I think you probably at that point were like, you know what, it's a long shot, but if I can see the security footage...
Make me feel bad.
Yeah.
And so, mind you, my friend who was in the truck with me was like, yeah, nothing happened. So I go up to Tool Store. I walk up to customers. I still can't believe this happened.
They're like, hi, can we return your hammer?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, can I see your security footage of this incident was reported happened? They're like, they look at me and they go, oh, yeah, sure. I'm like, no, I couldn't.
Do you think that's a common request?
No.
Are people rolling up and being like, hey, I'm bored?
I thought they'd be like, sorry, we can't divulge that. But they were just like, yeah, okay.
You were expecting a Law and Order scene to go down. Like, where's your warrant?
Yeah.
Is the prosecutor involved?
Kudos to them though. They're just like, yeah, come on. So they bring us behind the desk and bring up the footage. And there's me getting loaded my truck, and all of a sudden, away I go, and they're like, yeah, nothing happened.
They're like, yeah, 2 pedestrians were not
hit.
Ran over.
And so...
I almost said gunned down again.
So, nothing's happened since. I haven't heard anything, and it's been days.
But what's the theory?
The only thing, clearly this did not happen.
Obviously.
This did not happen.
I mean, maybe another dimension.
Right.
There's like a...
So...
Peter Locke's got away with it.
Here is my theory.
Yes.
when I was at Tool Store, I had to move to their loading dock, which has about 8 spots.
Okay.
And so I pulled into
dock.
the spot, and there was a van next to me with a guy in it. And mind you, this is a car rental. The numbers are all over it. It's advertisement, of course. Yeah. And so when they had a tow motor to put flooring in the back of my truck, they had to go behind this guy for maybe 5-10 minutes to load this on there. So he was temporarily kind of just boxed in, couldn't go anywhere. Well, I didn't pay any attention to this guy ever.
Yeah.
However, my wife and my friend did, who were there, and said this guy was like fuming in his car the entire time. Just fuming in his car. So the only thing I can reasonably think of is that guy got so mad that he actually called and reported this to Car Store. And the reason he didn't report it to the police is because clearly it would have been proved.
A false report.
Yeah, and then, then you were in.
She would have been like, listen, sweetie.
Then you're
don't file a false report with me.
Because then you're in a lot of trouble. Also, I was thinking, well, why would he say pedestrians? And the only thing I can think of is because if he said he hit 2 cars around, clearly there'd be damage. Yeah. And Car Store looked at my truck and was like, there is 0 damage on this truck.
You're like, oh wait, there's blood in the grate.
So clearly there couldn't have been any damage. You know, if they would hit a car, there would have been damage. There was none.
There would have been proof. There would have been There would have been you on the camera hitting 2 cars and running out.
So
Jesus,
nothing's happened. So I'm assuming it's just gone. But isn't that who could be that sociopathic to do that? Like, do you honestly think people are that crazy?
I do. First of all, but I think there's really only one thing I can think of to summarize what he deserves.
What?
He deserves to be cashless on that San Francisco bridge. And be fined the full toll for not having hard
and
cash.
We bring it all back.
That's what he deserves. Perfect. Well, I don't know about you, Paul, but this was a stirring episode.
My voice is gone, so.
Oh, well, you know what? Then cancel anything else for the rest of the day. And until next time, it's Matt Rebar.
And Paul Laux.
Are we sure? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.